Okay, and I have a poem to start us off. And this poem's called Carmel Point by Robinson Jeffers. The extraordinary patience of things. This beautiful place, defaced with a crop of suburban houses. How beautiful when we first beheld it. Unbroken field of poppy and lupin, walled with clean cliffs. No intrusion but 2 or 3 horses pasturing, or a few milch cows rubbing their flanks on the outcrop rockheads. Now the spoiler has come. Does it care? Not faintly. It has all time. It knows the people are a tide that swells and in time will ebb and all their works dissolve. Meanwhile, the image of the pristine beauty lives in the very grain of the granite, safe as the endless ocean that climbs our cliff. As for us, we must uncenter our minds from ourselves. We must unhumanize our views a little and become confident as the rock and ocean that we were made from. So I remember first hearing this poem read by Paramananda on retreat at Vajraloka with Paramananda, and I was reminded of it more recently on an online retreat with Maitri Devi just last month, and I just remembered how much I love this. Something about the rock and the ocean. But particularly at this point, or the point when I heard it again last month, just had such a resonance with me with my lockdown experience with nature. And obviously I was already starting to think about this talk. So yeah, there's something about the cosmic within the ordinary, which sounds a bit grand, but it's just, I think that's what I have discovered. So where I stay, there's suburban houses. I'm going to be sharing you some photos of my local environment with you so you can be on that journey with me, but it's very suburban. Sadly, there's a lot of litter. There's traffic, concrete, plastic. And within all of this, I can hear what that poem calls to me of that pristine nature, just pushing through, just the unstoppable, pushing through wherever it can. And as Nayaka said, I've been hill walking as a passion of mine, and the outdoors and sort of wilderness experiences. So what I have discovered is that the voice of that pristine beauty in this urban setting, in my urban setting, my local area, can be even louder and more insistent than the howling gale of a top of a mountain. It's just trying and being so hard, just there. So, and yeah, as the poem describes, when I can allow this beauty to, the voice of this calling voice that seems to call even louder because of the environment, then it does uncenter my mind. I've had those experiences and I can find that confidence of rock and ocean. And in those times, then I know it, not cognitively, but in my body, I just sense that elemental shared geochemistry that we're not separate. And so during the tight travel restrictions, it's not, I can't say that every time that I went outside, I had this beautiful experience of surrender. It wasn't like that, but I think there's something about appreciation of nature and what it brings to us as Dharma practitioners. And I can imagine people here today with us, the reason that you're here, there's some calling for you to, I think I just trusted deep in my being that was available for me wherever I was. I just had always chosen to go away to find it. So yeah, quite a different time. And it was lovely to just really be with that deep truth that I knew that the availability, if I was available, it was available. So for me, yeah, being able to, I was talking with Nike about this actually down on the water last night, being able to get to high places, whenever I go somewhere new, it's almost the first thing that I want to do is get up high to just see, to just survey my surrounds. So we were talking about this as well in terms of our nervous system and befriending our nervous system. I think it is something like in my primitive limbic system that just, it just relaxes when I have a wide enough vista to sense that there's no immediate threat. So, yeah, this hadn't been something that I had really done in my local environment. So, in the early days of lockdown, that was what I was doing. You know, there was a lot of anxiety, so I was seeking out those high places. And yeah, I think in the early stages there was a graspingness that I was aware of with that. But then it became something of beauty for me. Yeah, and I could connect in with, we were also talking about this last night as both studying geology before this, just this wonderful appreciation of how landscape is formed. And, you know, I've known theoretically about the drumlins of Glasgow and that it's a hilly place. The fact that I can get up high in Glasgow is because of the glacial moraine. And so the knowledge of that does help in some way, or helps you to feel connected to bigger and wider. So high up in the south of Glasgow, when the skies are clear, I can see across the city, and that's wonderful. So I can see the people of the city, the connection with, at that point, you know, early in lockdown, this just knowing anxiety was a universal experience. Across that to the Arrochar Alps, the Crianlarich Hills, I could position Dhanakosa, the Ochils, and just tap into that yearning that's so familiar for me that it just makes my heart want to burst out of my chest. When I see distant mountains, it's really, there's something about this, you know, the quality at twilight when they've got this sort of blueness to them. So it became a practice to sort of go out in the evenings to these high places, and I never did that before. You know, if the weather was good or the conditions were good, and again, it's about views. You know, I would get out of the city. So yeah, I felt enormous gratitude at being able to access what I could within that 5-mile radius. However, those kind of bigger walks, that kind of big, expansive thing, that was really for when I had more time in my day, so that evenings or weekends. But in my daily walks, and I'm sure this is very familiar to so many of us, the shorter daily walks that I would do, you know, within my working day, they offered that beautiful gift of the delicate and intimate experiences. And yeah, just the changing plant, the rhythm of the changing plant and small animal world thriving against the odds within the built environment. So I'd like to share with you my nearest walk that I do almost daily. Here is the nearest bit of green space to me. This is about 3 minutes walk from my house. And there's a little burn that runs through here, runs down from the braes at the back and runs down into our housing estate. And when I remember, sometimes I'm between work meetings and I don't remember, but when I do, I just love to stop and listen to the water. And it just really, again, my nervous system remembers how relaxed I am next to water. And it's always been a practice of mine when I've been out walking, as soon as my consciousness becomes aware of a stream or of water, and if I'm walking, I like to hold it in my consciousness and recognize the point in which it's not available to me. Like the sound of that, I've moved far enough away that it's not, or sit with it and then walk away. So there's something about my relationship with water, which I never really thought in that way I would have in the built environment. So this is a bit daft, but I have a small, I think it's about 30 seconds video of this water and the making of this video, actually, I really enjoyed. Oh, thank you, Liz. We couldn't hear the audio here, but I hope you could, because it's just water being water. And I just love that. Yeah, so at where this burn comes out to the main road, there's a culvert and it's constantly full of litter, which I think I've got a photograph of. It's not so obvious how much litter is here apart from the shopping trolley. I could say more about how this makes me feel, but again, it's Vedana. It's an experience, but that's for a different talk. So in this green space that I'm sharing with you just now, which is, you know, at best about half a kilometre, the trees just now are in this most beautiful kind of feathery stage. And I love this. It's the geese are so loud here. They're like, it's the call of the wild geese. Listen to us. Stop talking and listen to us. But yeah, here I am looking at the trees. So yeah, this feathery kind of, it's the potential. It's like we're just coming into being and you can see the fullness of what they will be. And I love that. It feels so full of metaphor of sort of becoming. And so, yeah, early in lockdown, there became a very special tree for me. So I'm going to share a picture. I think, Liz, the next one is a picture of my special tree. So you can see here, it's quite difficult for Nayaka and I, but I think for those of you at home, it should be a bit clearer. So this is the sort of tarmac path that has a railing. There's some social housing near me for older people too, so it's a really important railing. And you can see how this tree leans over the railing. And I just really felt like it was leaning and calling to me. And it was just it is just the perfect circumference and diameter for me to get my arms properly around it and give it a hug. And I really feel it hugging me back. It's just been adorable. It's like a conversation. And here I am trying to do a selfie hugging the tree. But this has been, I can't tell you how much, joy, comfort, that sense in the nervous system of, you know, living on your own and just that contact. And it has become a kind of dialogue and just watching the tiny changes each day through the seasons with this special tree. So trees have felt like some of my closest friends in this last year, particularly the cherries. And now what's so interesting is we're seeing this whole year pass. And so here's a picture of the cherries in my local cemetery. And I have loved walking in this cemetery again. It's got hills so I can see across the city. But yeah, something very humbling about these cherries and impermanence within this, with what a graveyard represents. So, of course, in both the bigger and the smaller walks, there's always the ground below and the sky above. And here's a photo of the most beautiful blue sky above these cherries in the cemetery. And yeah, there's been something it's about the mental, we were talking about this last night, it's about the mental states within which you are looking and being with wherever you are, urban or rural. And so I have had experiences sky watching or, you know, just relaxing in wilder places looking at the sky where I've just felt that, again, full of metaphor. And the phrase from Rumi's poem, birds make great sky circles of their freedom. I just love that. I just love it. But of course, I've found it available to me at home. Yeah, and that's been such a gift. So that looking at the sky and just feeling that sense of nothing fixed or solid, no substance to take hold of. And I have to say, I've witnessed some of the most beautiful skies I've ever seen in lockdown, just because I was available and I was there. Yeah, and I was looking. So my last photo that I'd like to share with you is from the Cathkin Braes near me this winter at sunset. Hardly anybody was there. It was very thick ice, and of course I'm able to go out with my crampons, which is a bit of a gift. But yeah, the sky was amazing, and I just felt the most encompassing sense of shunyata within that experience. And as I say, I'd never visited this. It would never have occurred to me before to do that on a winter's evening. You know, I would have got out of the city. So yeah, like many people around the world, Guru COVID-19 has changed my relationship with my local area, and therefore my relationship with my mind and with some of the views that I have held very strongly. And we're going to be talking about that later today. So, yeah, I think I'd like to end with another short poem that speaks to me of this sense that I've had in lockdown of the cosmic within the ordinary and that magic. And it's by Veronica Murphy. And I'm not sure of the title, but there is a photograph, and I think Liz will put it on Padlet. Oh, there we are. So I'll read it out to you. When all formulas known to science fail us, there is still the ancient magic of a spring thaw. Crocus pocus, crocus pocus. Oh, I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you.